Hello everyone, it is that time again to do a new season review, and we got a pretty interesting one this time with the Chill Season 2023, another season where we got 2 new specials, some interesting maps, and a lot more to talk about. So, I won't waste any more of your time, subscribe if you enjoy, and let's just get right into it with the specials. So, I'm going to talk about Triple Splashdown first. This is the second rework we've gotten of Splashdown. Thanks for making my video on the topic irrelevant in like 2 weeks, Nintendo, really appreciate that. And this time, I think they did a much better job with it. I think the concept of having it so your splashdown will almost certainly have one explosion hit the floor is a really cool concept. It keeps splashdown canceling as a really hype and cool play while not making it completely invalidate the special, and because of that you have to be a bit careful where you're shooting the splashdown from, where you're going, etc. That and the extra fists, of course, just look very cool. While the special is still on the weaker half in this game, it is substantially better than it was in Splatoon 2, and that's great. My issue with it comes from all the small little nerfs that happened between Splatoon 2 and 3. For example, the splashdown takes about 10 frames longer before it starts hitting the floor. The super jump splashdown radius is way smaller. There was a generous 70 damage hitbox that got removed. The radius isn't larger anymore when you use it on high ground, and of course the special meter drain. Some of these make sense, like maintaining 25% of your special because you die in it was always kind of dumb, and the radius increase from higher ground was kind of a weird mechanic. But other changes like the extra 10 frames in the air, and especially removing the 70 damage hitbox, considering we gave this to N-Parry, which has a curling and main weapon which would have comboed off it, feels like overkill. Realistically, if they revert a bunch of the nerfs they did between games, I think it'd end up in the perfect spot balance-wise, and so far I've had a lot of fun with it. Next up, the splatter color screen I think may be the worst designed special they have ever put in the series, which is an insane take given that there's been stuff like Ink Armor and Stingray in the game. And for the record, this isn't because I think its effects are negative on the game, though I do think that's an issue. It isn't really that big a deal. It adds to some visual clutter and can be very annoying, especially from a spectator POV. But it's not really that unhealthy for the game, and even that has some positive attributes like buffing short range and encouraging a bit more interaction in general. No, the actual reason I have a problem with this special is because I'm basically convinced it had next to no accessibility testing. Now this is a hard topic for me to talk about that I'm not as much an expert in, so I made a post about it on Twitter after seeing a lot of people talking about it, asking what effects people had with the screen for things like light sensitivity. For me, I have a slight amount of sensitivity to bright lights. So depending on the type of stage and the type of ink color combination, screen can go from not really affecting me at all to actually really hurting my eyes. But even for me, it's not as drastic. It's clear from going through the replies that a lot of people have way worse of an experience. Now, this was going to be the part of the video where I go over that thread and talk about some of the experiences people have been having. But Gem, aka Squid School, made an incredibly good video on the topic as a whole, especially for those who struggle to understand what's going on. So honestly, rather than covering it in shorter detail, I would highly recommend taking the time out of your day to go watch his. But in case after all that you still don't understand, let me put this in simple terms. If the special disproportionately affects people based on an outside disability factor, that is a humongous problem. That should not be a thing in the game. Everyone should be affected by screen in the exact same way. Just like Inkstorm doesn't do a bit more damage to someone if they have a hand cramp, this thing shouldn't impair people's vision more because of a disability outside the game. It's a humongous problem, and another reason this special needs a dramatic overhaul. Again, I really have no idea how this went through, and I hope that people can be more understanding for those who are suffering with forms of disability, making this special completely unfair to go against. And by the way, competitive-wise, action is already being taken, and discussion is happening in both scenes, contrary to popular belief. Currently, Sendoku Season 2 is starting, which is a system you can play and find out more about here. And in that system, you can actually select if you have sensitivity issues with splatter color screen, and if so, it will be banned in any sets you participate in. This will likely be the solution in a competitive setting until action is taken. So that way screen can be used when it doesn't affect people, but it will not harm anyone with a disability. And as for spectator cam, it seems like it's easy enough to avoid the special, so this shouldn't be a thing bothering viewers. Regardless, I hope this makes it clear that precautions in the competitive scene at least are being taken here. This is a serious deal, and anything affecting people with disabilities will be taken seriously by this scene. It's ridiculous that this even exists, and it knocks a lot of points off the season for me. Anyway, let's talk about the balance patch. In terms of the actual balance changes, it was pretty pathetic. The game's in a solid spot, but there really needed to be some more buffs. The only real theme is mid-range tended to be buffed overall, which does stack with the fact that the two main kits they added this season were also mid-range weapons. What is worth talking about more is the X-Rank and Salmon Run changes. X-Rank adds a lot more variety to the matches you play and makes the rank system a little bit more reasonable at times. While the Salmon Run changes add 2 new specials to the game, make it easier to start at higher difficulties, and make it so that you are guaranteed to have at least 2 long-range specials in your comp. These are all fantastic small changes that go a long way to improving the mode, especially the Salmon Run having 2 new specials in it, which is really nice to see, and I hope we get more of them in this mode eventually. In addition, you can use Sheldon licenses on the gacha machine, so that's cool. I would still say as a whole, this is one of the worst balance patches in terms of the balance changes they made, but at least it came with these cool other changes. Let's talk about the weapon kits. I think the quality of these as a whole is still a lot better than most of the seasons in the game, but I'm a little bit disappointed in them at times. For example, again, I really talked about how Perry's kit worked in general, but I think it was also a poor splashdown candidate. Not only is this the third dually to have a form of splashdown rework, yes, Reef Slider is a splashdown rework, we see horizontal splashdown in the beta, but on top of that, the Perry kit in Splatoon 2 worked by having an entry special since you had a curling bomb which didn't really help you get in. Now you have a special that also doesn't let you get in. And yes, we should have known this was a problem already, because this was exactly why V-Sploosh didn't work in Splatoon 2. So I don't really know why Perry got this over something like 52, for example, which would have at least had a better combo out of it and made a lot more sense as they tend to put some of the new specials on a shooter. Or at the very least, it could have had Perry with a burst bomb, which would have been a nice throwback to Splattershot's original kit and made a lot more sense. Maybe if they buff Splashdown to have better synergy with it, it could work a little bit better, but considering how iconic Perry's original kit is, I can't help but see this as a letdown. At least it's fun though. Besides that though, some of the stronger kits are definitely noteworthy and a lot of fun, like Pencil, S-Blast, Stamper, and Foil Squeezer. So I think as a whole, it's still pretty solid. 9 kits isn't a great amount, but considering we got 2 new specials, it is at least more than last season, though that's not a very high bar. We should still be getting way more of them, but I think it's clear at this point all the second kits will be done when the actual seasonal model is done. So hopefully there's an extension for third kits. Briefly, I think the new music is cool. I think the catalog is okay. We're keeping the returning catalog items though, and I think we should really just put them in the shop, but whatever. And challenges actually got to change. They're going to have double the amount of time slots, basically alternating every 2 hours for a total of 12 hours instead of 6. This is a sizable improvement, though I think we could have done better. It's still worth mentioning though, and some of the new challenges this season look really fun, such as the Gushers one, or having the Rainmaker available on some other mode. Please don't be Turf War. Big Run also happened. I still don't feel like talking about the gold changes at all and how that works, so I'm going to ignore that. I think Barnacle and Dime was a very fun and easy stage for the event to happen on, and I really like the new King Salmonid. Both being able to throw bombs in its mouth and shoot its weak point adds a good amount of options to deal with it, and I think it is a lot of fun, as well as just visually very stunning, especially when it actually throws you up in the air to kill you. You go flying super high, and I think that looks amazing. So yeah, as per usual, Big Run stays easily the best event in this game. Finally is the stages. I already broke them down in detail in my stage review, so I won't spend too much time on them, but I think these are the best ones they have added. Both of them are insanely fun stages that can be really well enjoyed with unique gimmicks. And while Bluefin isn't the best stage competitively, Ramen absolutely is. So I think this is a win whether you're casual or competitive here. It seems like the stage design trend we've been seeing over the last season is continuing, and really my only gripe is we didn't get a stage rework. But hopefully we can see one in the mid-season patch. With that all being said though, what do I think of the season as a whole? I think it's okay. The seasons with new specials tend to be some of the better ones, but really the screen has not got me feeling the best about this compared to Kraken and Super Chump, which I felt were a lot better additions. For the standards that I have towards what I think an update every 3 entire months should do, it falls a bit flat. But when comparing it with the other season updates we've gotten, I can't deny this is probably one of the best ones. Doesn't top Fresh Season for me, but it gets close. So yeah, that's my consensus on it. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below, and I'll see you all next time.